Knitting is already a masterclass in controlled panic. Crowded terminals, mystery sounds, the existential dread of the middle seat. And then you add, will TSA let me keep my knitting? Today, I'm going to answer that and a lot more. Because knitting and air travel, genuinely a great combination once you know what you're doing.
Before we dive in, a quick update from my Craftcation project video. You voted on my travel project and the winner is Helix Hats. Honestly, the perfect carry-on knit. And for my Comforts project, I'm bringing Ursa. It's a gorgeous textured pullover and I cannot wait to work on it between sessions. I'll link the project picker video in the description if you want the full story.
Let's start with the question that everybody asks before they start their flight with sticks and string. Is this actually allowed? Yes, absolutely. Yes, full stop. According to TSA.gov, knitting needles, metal, wooden, DPNs, circular, they are allowed in your carry-on bag. I screenshot that page and I keep it on my phone every time I go through security. Not to argue with anyone, just for my own anxiety. Because having receipts, it's a personality trait. Scissors are where it gets a little more specific. The blade has to be under 4 inches from the pivot point. Blunt tip travel scissors are your safest bet. I'll link some options below. And your notions, tapestry needles, stitch markers, interchangeable tips, generally okay. Pack them in an accessible pouch, not loose in the bottom of your bag. Here's the honest caveat. TSA agents, they have discretion. The official rule says yes, but the person at the checkpoint has the final say. That's just the reality. We'll talk about what happens if they say no in the next section. TSA rules can and do change, especially right now with everything changing in the political climate. Policies that were solid last year may look completely different this year. Please check TSA.gov before every trip. Not once a year, before every trip. Don't rely on what you heard from a friend, a Reddit thread, or honestly, even this video. Go to the source and it'll save you a lot of grief at the checkpoint. And I want to add something that wasn't originally part of this conversation when I planned this video, because things have changed. As of when filming this, we're on day 31 of a partial government shutdown that affects TSA. 50,000 TSA workers are working without pay. Checkpoints are being consolidated. Lines at some airports are stretching 2 or 3 hours. And the acting deputy TSA administrator has warned that some smaller airports may have to close. So what if an agent questions your needles? First, stay calm. Be pleasant.
Be nice.
I know, easier said than done when you're already in airport anxiety mode. But you're a knitter, not a threat, even with size 10 Addy Turbo. I want to tell you about something called TSA Cares. It's a helpline, 1-855-787-2227, specifically for travelers with disabilities, medical devices or conditions, or circumstances that might make screening more complicated. You can call ahead and they'll actually coordinate a time for a specialist to escort you through security. I use this. It makes a real difference. I've used it including this time, the last 3 times I've traveled to Craftcation by myself. Case in point, I was once going through security and a construction crew, perfect timing, decided to start testing the fire alarm. Now, I was currently barefoot, waiting for a security agent. Cora had just been screamed at by another dog who someone had in a carry-on bag. So she was a little nervous. I was nervous. I got so twitchy that the agent behind me that was kind of like escorting or screening people's stuff actually stopped his line and leaned over and kind of like didn't tap me on the shoulder, but kind of made me aware of his presence and was like, it's okay, breathe. Sometimes when I get nervous, it makes other people nervous. You know, everyone wants to know why I'm a little twitchy. So it's helpful to have someone that can walk you through one by one. The other issue for me is Cora has to go through one magnetometer. She goes through the old-fashioned one, you know, like you find it like a courthouse kind of thing. Because I have 2 fake knees, have to go through the moose one, and that can be a problem because I have to actually step away from her. So the agent will often hold her leash while I do my thing, and then I go around everybody and go behind the system to get to where she is, and then I call her through and she comes through and everything's fine. Long story short, TSA Cares helps, it works, and it's just so helpful. If you're ever in a situation where they won't let something through, you have options. Mail it ahead of time, move it to your checked bag, assuming you have one, or travel with inexpensive backup that you carry in your carry-on. And if you have to toss them, you toss them. It's a price you pay. I call these burner needles. Not glamorous, but practical. I would most likely buy a cheaper pair at Michael's because the clover ones, they're not my preference. But if I have to lose them, I lose them. My needles that I have are just too expensive to miss. Not every project is a good travel companion. I've learned this the hard way, so here's the framework. Portable means small and lightweight. Lace is beautiful, but turbulence plus lace equals tears, and we don't want that on the plane. Socks, mitts, simple hats, small shawls in progress. These are your travel friends. One-skein projects are your best for travel. Self-contained, not precious, and if your bag gets gate checked, you're not devastated by it. Pattern access matters too. Choose something you've memorized or can easily access on your phone. I use Knit Companion on my tablet. I'm able to prop that up and knit away. You don't want something that requires a binder and a highlighter. Airports are not the place to figure out a new technique. Save that for home where you can swear freely. Yarn. Nothing that splits, nothing that's overly fuzzy, nothing you'd be heartbroken to lose. Travel yarn should be reliable and expendable. Save your precious hand spun for the couch. Quick pause. Drop in the comments when you travel, hooks or needles. Let me know. Team needle, team hook. Organization is what separates a smooth flight from a yarn tangled mess. Here's what I actually do. Your knitting should be in its own dedicated project bag, one that fits inside your carry-on. Don't make your project bag the carry-on itself. You want this under the seat in front of you or in the overhead bin where you can keep track of it. Because if you're anything like me, you'll need that bag 4 minutes after takeoff. What goes in your project bag? Your yarn, your needles, small notions, your pattern on either your phone, tablet, or printed, and some small scissors. That's it. Keep it lean. Airports are not the time for a full yarn studio. One extra tip, put your project in a clear Ziploc bag before you go through security so that they can see it without having to take it out of your bag. If they have to take it out of the bag, your live stitches are going to be protected and your yarn is not going to do a runner across the conveyor belt. Airports are, and I say this with lived experience, a sensory nightmare. Unpredictable sounds, crowds, loss of control, the wonderful feeling of finding out that your gate has changed 10 minutes before you're supposed to board. For anxious brains, that's a lot. Here's what nobody tells you about knitting. The bilateral repetitive motion, left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, it activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest branch, the one that is opposite of panic mode. It gives your hands and your brain a job to do. One stitch, then the next. That's enough to interrupt the anxiety spiral loop. This isn't woo-woo. This is your nervous system doing exactly what it's supposed to do when you give your hands and your brain something to do. Your project also becomes a bit of a portable safe space. It's familiar. It smells like home. In a terminal that's full of strangers and announcement sounds and whatever it is that they're frying down at gate C7, it's a safe spot. Start knitting in the gate area before you board. You don't want to start somewhere over Oregon when you're spiraling already. Get that rhythm going early. This is another reason your project should be small and memorized. When you're anxious, you don't want to decode a chart. You want muscle memory. And give yourself full permission to put it down. If you need both hands to grip armrests during turbulence, do it. No judgment. The knitting will be there when the air smooths out. I travel with my service dog, Cora, who you just heard a moment ago. I always request bulkhead seating. It gives both of us some extra room. Her to lay on the floor in front of me, and me, since I'm 6 feet tall, some extra leg room. And that means that she's got plenty of room so that she's not encroaching on my neighbor. If you travel with a service dog, in my opinion, bulkhead seating is not optional. It's self-care for both of you. And honestly, having Cora and my knitting going at the same time, that's double the safety. That's a 2-layer grounding system. My nervous system doesn't know what to do with that much calm. It's suspicious, but I'll take it. Here's what I want you to take away from this section. Knitting on a plane is not just a hobby. It's a regulated nervous system tool that also makes socks. That's not small. It's a genuine skill and a flex. Quick recap. TSA says yes to needles. TSA Cares makes the screening process so much easier. Choose a simple, portable project, pack smart, and use the rhythm of knitting to keep your nervous system from staging a full revolt at 30,000 feet. Tell me in the comments, do you use hooks or needles when you travel? And have you had a wild TSA experience with your knitting? Let me know. If you're not subscribed, now is a great time. I make videos about knitting, creativity, and mental health, and they're better together than you think. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.